republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Laura, would you do a roll call for us, please?
Kevin Scramlin,
Here.
Janelle Keller,
Here.
Teresa Bills,
Here.
Jim Christopher.
Here. Alright, so our first thing is the approval of the agenda tonight. I take it everybody has read through it. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I need to add the election coordinating committee report signer to the agenda. Election coordinating committee report signer. So that'll be letter I.
Is there anything else? Do we have a motion for the approval then?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda with letter I as added for January 13th.
Support?
All those all those in favor? All those opposed? Number 5, we move to the approval of minutes for let's do the December 9th Township and Fire Board meetings. Does anyone have any changes that they want made?
I did already mention this to Laura. Under B, Laura,
Mm-hmm.
the November 2025 should reflect 2024. And it really was the board that approved that fee of $15. It may have been said that it was Robert DeFano, but it would be better, more appropriate to have the word board there.
That's it?
That's all I have.
This is just on the regular board minutes.
That was just on the regular.
Any others? Do we have a motion to approve then with that amendment?
I motion to approve minutes, with that one slight modification for December 9th, 2024. It was the 19th.
I'll support it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, so the next one would be, the special meeting on December 18th. I do have one here for Laura. Under A, Board of Trustees, the second one says position will be open until 2026, and then we'll have to run in 2026. It's not going to be open that full time. I don't know, how would you want to word that? Position will be filled?
Filled until 2026, yeah.
Teresa?
In letter A, just the sentence down below that, it says, Keller motioned, and then the supported, doesn't say who supported.
It's a mystery.
So it's supported,
So we just need to update. who
we just need to put in
supported
who
that.
supported, and then on the next page, is something similar under letter B, is the motion to accept the consent judgment and designate Kevin Scramlin signing the agreement, and Keller supported it, but you don't have who motioned it. So that's just oversight there.
Are there any others? Alright, then I will take a motion to accept them with the amendments.
I'll make a motion to accept the special board minutes of December 18th, 2024 with the changes as noted.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Alright.
Fire board. We did the fire board.
Yeah, we did the
Fire
fire
board.
board with the other one. We're way ahead of you. Alright, financials, budget amendments.
All right, so
Which I
you'll
see,
see, yes, I passed this out. And in hindsight, we probably could have taken all of these budget amendments out of, landscaping, because we had set aside a good chunk of money, and I don't think that we'll be using it this fiscal year. But, my recommendations for budget amendments, if anyone wants to see these, I do have a couple of extra copies with Laura over here. Currently, we don't have a whole lot of funding for professional development for the supervisor. Our prior supervisor didn't do a whole lot of, professional development, the conferences and stuff, because he'd attended many over the years. So that's a pretty slim budget, so I would recommend that the first budget amendment we would make would be move $1,500 from election office supplies and add it to, the professional development for our supervisor. I do know that he has some things coming up that he would like to attend. The second one would be so our building and grounds, so we did this roof repair that we were not anticipating, that was about $16,000 over in our repairs and maintenance right now. So I would recommend that we take about $17,000 from contractual services and add it to our repairs and maintenance GL number. In that same section under building and grounds, we did some landscaping around the township, so again, we're about $1,200 over in that section. I would recommend that we take $3,500 from professional services other. We really have not used any of those funds this year, and add it to repairs and maintenance for 1099s, which would then cover that overage. The last one here, and this is actually also up in the fire department as well, and I think some of it is increase in VC3 fees. That's our IT company. And my recommendation would be to move $3,500 from election inspector pay and add it to computers, internet, and RICO. Those are very, very estimated calculations, but hopefully that would cover it through the end of the fiscal year. The very last one here, if you recall, a tree came down last spring, so in 2020, early 2024, maybe even in the fall of 2023. But early last year, so about April, they replaced it. So we have about $3,100 over, and that is, it was reimbursed. We were paid that money from the insurance company, but it didn't reflect until this fiscal year, so we have that $3,100 overage right now. So my recommendation would be to take that $3,500 from landscaping and add it into our repair and maintenance cemetery account. So those budget amendments would be what I would recommend.
Any discussion, Teresa?
I would have no different recommendations, so.
Jim? Good. Well, with that, I make a motion that we accept the budget amendments as recommended by the clerk.
I'll give support.
I'll second it. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Did we need a roll call? 'Cause
It's just moving it
I
from
was gonna
different
say-
GLs. We could do it, I mean,
Do you want a
if
roll
you
call?
want to do a roll call just to cover that. I don't know that it's necessary, but why not?
Go
Janelle
ahead.
Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes.
Okay, so now that you got to see all of the changes, for approximately the last month, if you look at our invoice distribution report, you'll see that for the township and building department, this is on page 2, we had about $28,000 total. I'm sorry, that was for the township, including the building department, that's another $1,800. So total, it ended up being about $29,721. Were there any questions on township related expenses? All right, and then fire department ended up at about $18,000 for the month. Again, nothing that was out of the ordinary in those expenses either. So if you don't have any questions, concerns, then I would motion that we accept accounts payable as submitted.
I support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That was the roll call.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this one is the roll call vote.
Yeah, we do
because
have
we
to do
spent
that
the
one.
money.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right, Laura, roll calls. please.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes.
What do you got next?
Ms. Teresa.
It's Teresa's turn.
Are you sure?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I thought we just did. Did we go over all these too?
That's part of the budget amendments,
Yep.
kind of reflect back with that.
Gotcha. So this was not in the packet because I was out sick and, so I just printed one for each of you and I gave one to Laura.
Yep.
Really, like, things are just fine. I just wanted to note that in the 701 account, the substantial increase there was the, revenue sharing, comes about every other month, and it usually comes right around the very last day of the month. So that includes $102,000 that just got deposited from the state for revenue sharing, which then, I just recently moved over into the general account. Everything else looks pretty much self-explanatory.
Let's see, we have no presentations, no public hearings, no unfinished business that I'm aware of. Let's move on to new business, how's that? A, discuss budget workshop date. I guess we need to set a date here for the end of the month. I'm thinking the 28th or the 29th, something like that. I'm open to either of those days, it's up to you guys' schedules.
I know Teresa's out the 29th.
Okay.
My mom's had surgery,
I'll let you get out way on that.
and I don't think I should miss the budget workshop though.
I would.
I know we normally like to do it on Wednesdays, cause
I
Wednesdays
know,
are long
Wednesdays are
days.
nice and long days.
We can make the 28th work, don't you think?
What day of the week said you
It's a
guys?
Tuesday, what days would be better for you?
I'm trying to open up the calendar. I honestly, I think I have to, out of commission on the 28th.
28th, you're out?
I believe so, I'm working on it, you guys know.
What's our next?
I mean, the 30th, the Thursday?
Excuse me.
It'll take all day, just let me
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It'll be an all day thing. And,
Because the next Wednesday puts us all the way to what, the 5th or something?
The 5th, and I'm supposed to be in Flint for a school election meeting.
we also have John who's gonna need to be involved in part of it at least.
Yeah, what days are better for you?
Usually any day but Thursdays. Thursdays are usually pretty low.
Right, I'll be right back.
I'm okay on the 28th. I'm okay on, everyone, I'm good on the 28th.
Oh, you are good on
You
the
are good
28th?
on the 28th. Okay, and she's good, and I'm good, and Tuesdays is not a Thursday.
Yeah, usually.
Okay,
She went to grab her calendar, but if that works, I'd say no.
okay. What do you think, at 10 a.m.?
Sure.
This is January the 28th.
January the 28th. Or we could do 9, or, 3 o'clock and make sure we get that right for
Why don't we do 9?
9.
I said the 28th would work, if that works.
The 28th?
Yeah.
Yeah, can we do the 28th?
And let's set it for 9 o'clock in the morning on the 28th.
So it'll be like an all day party?
I don't know about the party, but it'll be all day.
It'll be a party.
So that's that, everybody's good with that then? All right.
Yeah.
B, discuss MTA conference, that's the Michigan Township Association conference. It is the first week in April. I know I wanna go, I believe Teresa wants to go. I should wait, I just signed
So it's, are you doing the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
it. Yeah.
I'm just interested in Tuesday, Wednesday, because Mondays, they have all those extra
Right.
courses and stuff.
Right.
So that's not a necessity for me, but, as far as, since it's in Grand Rapids, I thought, I would like to get there Monday night to spend the night there and then
Sure.
be able to be there right away for Tuesday,
Yeah,
Wednesday.
and I would stay Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday too. I don't know the cost of that totally because they don't let you sign up till the 23rd for your
Oh,
room.
for hotels?
Yeah,
So I did a little bit of, looking ahead, like in their brochure, and I think it's around, it's less than 200 a night. I think it's around 190.
yeah, but I'm sure I had tax and,
Yeah, so
Everything
figure
else.
200 a night,
yeah.
you know, per room, so.
Yeah, so my cost is $525, and then, yeah, I'd probably have another $600 in hotel rooms, so it's gonna be around between $1,100 and $1,200, I would
So
say.
you're gonna wanna get there when, Sunday night?
No, I'm
You're
gonna
only
drive, I'm
Monday?
gonna drive over
So you,
Monday,
what nights, did you-
Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
you're gonna stay through Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, I'm still debating if I wanna stay till Thursday. I mostly wanna do Tuesday, Wednesday, so,
Sure.
so are we doing two separate motions, or do we even have to do a motion?
Um,
How do we handle that?
I think we could probably do one motion, and I'm happy to motion that, we pay for the attendance fees for Teresa and Kevin to attend the MTA conference 2024. 5, you know, that one too, just in case Kevin was interested last year. 2025, with hotel fees and meal fees that are outside of the purview of the conference itself. And mileage reimbursement for travel.
And I have plenty in my professional development
I know,
budget.
I'm hoping that I moved enough with that budget number, but if not, we'll find out.
All right,
So that would be my motion,
what's your motion?
catch it.
Go ahead, Jim.
I'll second.
Laura, would you take a roll call vote on that, please?
Yes, Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Basic Institute, Janelle?
So this one is mine, so this is through the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks. This is a week-long conference that they hold up in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. It is a 3-year program, this would be my 3rd year, and it does count toward the MIPMC, so it is a clerk certification. So I'm excited, I had this done, get a little certification behind it. I did include the fee itself, so it's $543.90 for the hotel, and then it is another $700 for the registration. That does include some meals while we're there. It includes breakfast every day and a few lunches, and I think 1 or 2 dinners. So, I would love to attend that again.
All right.
Well, I think you're following the footsteps of some great clerks. 'Cause
I hope
didn't
so.
Pam and Patty
So,
have that
yeah.
certification? Yeah.
All right.
So if anyone wants.
So I will make a motion that we approve Janelle Keller to go to the Clerks Basic Institute in March, with the expenses as detailed in the, document she submitted for hotel and registration.
I support it.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
The new, new planning commission appointment. Neil Laughlin had stepped down in December. So the man that we're appointing is, or I'm appointing, or whoever's appointing, I should say, is Dan Crimmins. Dan has an engineering background. He's retired from the auto industry. I think someone that's gonna step in and give a lot to the planning commission. So with that, I'm gonna appoint Dan to the planning commission.
think that sounds fantastic.
Perfect. Jim?
I will support it.
Oh, you're making the motion to appoint him?
Yes. Yeah, I make a motion, we appoint him.
Jim supported.
All those, we don't need to vote for him.
We need to vote.
Oh, you're all, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, welcome aboard,
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah, Dan.
Dan's gonna do a great job. Political Leadership School.
That would be me.
Yep.
So it basically is just a one-day seminar in, it's actually this coming Saturday. And I would need to sign up like 3 days ahead. I'm gonna make sure that I'm feeling 100% by the time I end up doing this, because it's like a 1 hour drive down. But basically it's how to be more effective in communicating with your state legislatures to get your opinions heard. And so I figured I would use it in a variety of ways, especially since we're dealing with so many things with state legislature where we're disagreeing with them on things. So it's in Livonia, and it's $60. So I'd like to use the treasurer's professional budget to cover that.
I would motion that we approve Teresa attending the political leadership school at a cost of $60 plus reimbursed mileage.
No, you don't have to reimburse me for mileage, I'm actually traveling with somebody
Oh,
else.
okay. Well, then never mind, I don't
That's
want
even
to.
better.
That's even better,
There you go.
yep.
I support it. All those in favor?
Aye.
For $60.
Anytime it's money. Yeah.
Laura, will you roll call?
Yep. Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes. Discuss OCCMTA, that is the Oakland County chapter of the Michigan Township Association.
Yeah, were you just wanting to say?
Yeah, they have a chapter, you know, I guess all the different counties have chapters, and this chapter hasn't done anything in a while, but they have done things in the past, so I think this Larry Gray, do you know who he is? He's a supervisor somewhere.
I've met him, yes.
Yeah, he's like, I believe just recently taken over,
Mhm.
so he's asking, he emailed this to me, I wasn't sure if he emailed it to everybody.
I did too.
Okay, so, I just figured that he says they're gonna do some other get-togethers, and they do offer some, like networking things and where they bring people in who are, you know, can update you on things like that, so it's $50, and, it's for the whole entire township board to be members of OCCMTA, so it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna plan for 2025.
Have we done it before?
Oh, yeah.
We
I
have,
was gonna say,
yeah,
we've done them.
yes.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve $50 per, for the annual dues to OCCMTA for the 2025 calendar year dues.
I'll second it.
Laura, you want a roll call, please?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells.
Yes.
Discuss planning services for 2025. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, because Danielle has talked to me about it. Most of this stuff is to update language to make more user-friendly, I think, not only for the office, but for our residents. A lot of it hasn't been looked at in quite a while. So the first part of this, as I understand, is just stuff that they want to go through, take to the planning commission language-wise and make sure that it's updated. So I think she's asking the board for permission to do that. The bottom part of it, when you get into mining permits and site plan process, a lot of that's gonna go through our planner and through Will. So there's gonna be some costs there that she will have for our February meeting. But I think just to address this top part, I think we're looking for a motion to give her, some leeway to start updating some of this stuff with our planning commission. Any comments, Janelle?
No, I mean, I think that probably the biggest thing is for Jim to be aware of that, to take to the planning commission. I mean, the costs that are going to be incurred, you know, attached to each of those items are gonna come up as they
Right,
develop each of them.
sure.
So, I mean, I think it's helpful for us to be informed of what they're looking at, but
Sure.
I don't know that we need to take any action necessarily.
Go ahead, Jim.
These are pretty contemporary issues that have been facing the planning commission, so I'm 100% behind this. We've had issues with ponds,
Sure.
we have an ongoing issue with blight potentially,
Yep,
among other things that I see here, so I think it's worthwhile.
okay.
Yeah, well, and a lot of this is also following up after the big zoning changes, when they went through and changed that entire
Yeah.
ordinance. There were just a lot of like loose ends that I think weren't tied up, so this would just make things a little cleaner.
Yeah, and then some of these, I know she said have not been reviewed in 8 to 10
Yes,
years.
yeah.
So, it's definitely time to
Yeah,
take a look at them. Alright, I don't think we need to make a motion anywhere on that, though, do we?
Just more of an FYI.
FYI, I think for everybody. And like I say, if there's cost to some of it, then obviously that'll have to be brought to the board.
Yeah.
Alright, discuss the vacant board trustee, position. I'd just like to say, I've been very humbled by the outreach we had on this. We had 11 applicants. I guess I didn't know how many I thought we'd get to begin with, but I think it really said a lot about our community. The amount of people that applied, the quality of the people that applied. You've made the decision very hard. And I think it says a lot about our community. I will say, I enjoyed interviewing every one of you. And for those that don't make it, I'm keeping that list because there's always other opportunities in the township, whether it be planning commission, zoning board. So don't think you're gonna be forgotten. Board of review, I mean, there's a lot of things. So, and there might even be some other projects that we start going down the road we could use people on. I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have anything they wanna expand on?
I would just echo those sentiments. I think it was wonderful to be able to meet, you know, 11 great quality candidates who came out, you know, to meet people in the community, but also that you're interested in being a part of something. I think that's beautiful. I was very pleasantly surprised by having 11 people apply.
Yeah, it was, I enjoyed meeting everybody, I really did, and I learned a lot about, just different kinds of people who live here in the township and what their concerns are and things like that, and, so it was definitely challenging to narrow it down and come up with, you know, but a lot of good things, a lot of good folks, so thank you.
Jim?
You know, I agree with the sentiment of the other board members. In addition, there were a couple things that resonated everybody from all the candidates, one of which was across the board, all of the candidates, all the applicants rather, were interested in maintaining a controlled rural lifestyle. So minimal development, not development averse, but controlled. And the other component, which the board has talked about a few times here, and I strongly suspect we'll see some huge improvements, is the amount of communication from the township to the population. Across the board, everyone either agreed with the sentiment or brought it up on their own. So I echo everything my colleagues here said, plus wanted to share some of that other news.
Thank you. All right, at this point, I would open it up if anyone wanted to discuss the position.
Well, so just in case, so just so people know, when we interviewed the candidates, we did not all sit together in a room and interview candidates together. Janelle and I sat together in one room, and then Jim and Kevin sat together in a different room, and we each had our own set of questions that were different from each other, but we agreed upon, as a board, we kind of back and forth emailed and this and that, and we agreed on some things that we wanted to discuss with the candidates. So we had 2 separate rooms because we can't have 3 of us together or it's a quorum. So at this point, like, we've not really sat down together and said, oh, who's your pick and who's your pick and all this other stuff. So this is our first time really having all 4 of us, but we were not allowed to just interview everybody all in one room in one setting. So I don't know, you know, I'm assuming that the general public does not know that. So I wanted to let that information out there. So, I don't know, someone needs to go first and say who they because it's so hard, you know, I know there's only one person that's gonna be it out of 11, and so does anyone wanna be the first one to suggest someone?
I'm happy to go first as long as people here don't laugh, because I'm struggling to pronounce his last name. So if you guys will help me out, I would like to nominate Keith for the position of trustee. But wonderful, thank you. What Kevin said. I found him to have a skill set that would be very helpful to the tech part as that moves forward. And to everybody, I will tell you, we can teach parliamentary procedure. We can teach, I guess it might still be called civics. We can't teach being a stand-up person. All of the people that we interviewed, at least from my perspective, were stand-up humans. This gentleman just seemed to me to be head and shoulders above the rest. Has in the past volunteered when Bob DePalma was supervisor, asked if there were positions that he might be able to fill, had the initiative to do that, came forth again. He just seemed to me to be the proper person to come forward and represent us. He seems to be quite enthusiastic about it, so he has my nomination.
Well, he was in my top 3, so I can definitely get on board with that. I don't know that, I mean, when I say top 3, I could have been either any of them, so I'll reserve saying anything else unless, you know, like, I could support Keith, because I did find that, I thought his skill set, I think one of our base needs moving forward is to develop that tech park, and, you know, we don't want Damascus to do it. We need that, we need the support in that area. He also seemed to have a very keen awareness of the issues. He was familiar with the master plan. He was I mean, we asked him some detailed questions. He was familiar with the master plan. He was familiar with the situation, you know, in terms of issues impacting the township. He was well aware of the best thing, you know, so yeah.
Keith was also one of my top picks. I was grateful that he, over the last few years, has actually multiple times been invested in the township business, if you will. I did not meet him prior to this week, however, his daughters have been involved with elections in the community. I did like that there seemed to be multiple people that were invested in this community in Groveland Township through these different areas. I thought that was great. I think there obviously must be some really healthy conversations going on in that house. Hopefully they would be ones that could help us here, but I did like Keith. He was definitely one of my top 2. So I would support that as well if we ended up going with Keith.
You guys are making it easy on me, because Keith was also my top pick. for many of the reasons that were said. I really like Keith's demeanor. I think he's very educated on the issues. Jimmy alluded to the tech park, which obviously is gonna be a big thing in this township. With his commercial construction background, I think he can be a real asset there. I really enjoyed Keith, and I think he would be a great member to this board. With that being said, does anybody want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion that we, it's the right language, appoint Keith Lederholt to represent the township as our trustee for the next 2 years, I believe.
You would need to run again
You have to run in 2026.
in 2026. And just a point of information, that also means anyone who
Anyone
would be
can run.
interested could run in the 2026 appointment,
For sure.
or I'm sorry, in the election.
Yeah, the gubernatorial cycle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Laura, would you roll call the please?
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
All right, so Keith Lederholt will be our new township trustee.
So who's still interested?
How do we wanna handle, the notification? I don't know, let's call him this evening?
Yeah. Sure. We can do.
I'm happy to do that, if that's
Okay.
permissible.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Outstanding. All right. Miscellaneous reports.
One more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I
that's
even wrote
me.
it down over here.
That's all right. This is just, so every 4 years, we meet with the counties regarding, the school elections. So how this works is, if we wanna opt out of certain elections, then we can. So for example, we have a small section of our community that goes to Goodrich schools. It's about 150 voters altogether. So if Goodrich has a school election, I still have to run that election here. So these meetings are held every 4 years, it basically gives us a potential option to opt out of actually orchestrating that entire election. So it gives us the option to say, we would like Goodrich to go ahead and handle those 140 voters. So it's a huge expense that it relieves us from. There are still a lot of duties that I'm still required to fulfill. But this meeting does occur every 4 years, and I just got the paperwork on just a couple days ago, or we would have had this in the packet. But this meeting's coming up, and we do need to designate a signer for these meetings. So I would be attending these meetings, so if you're comfortable, I would recommend that unless you wanna go to the election meetings.
Nope, you're good. You're good.
So my request today would just be that you would recommend me as our designated signer for the election coordinating committees.
Is that your motion or are you?
I'm asking for it,
Okay.
but you could,
I will make a motion that we choose Janelle Keller to be the signer for the election reporting committee. Is that
coordinating committee.
election coordinating committee for the school elections?
Perfect, thank you. I'll support myself.
There you go. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that moves us into miscellaneous reports. Janelle, you wanna do Howard?
Sure, so this should be pretty short and sweet because Hyatt did not meet last month. They are meeting on Tuesday, the 21st. They did do the Jacobson Quinn Toy Project in December. They're hoping to vote on the new budget this upcoming meeting, again, which is on the 21st. So I don't have a whole lot for Hyatt itself. The Holly Area Veterans Resource Center, they do have a vet-to-vet dinner coming up on the 20th. And that is open for veterans and their families. And then they're hoping to start some peer groups. So if anyone's interested, We're having an organizational meeting on January 16th.
Alright, thank you.
That's all I have for that.
Teresa? Brandon?
Okay, so Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance, they meet tomorrow, but, based on last month's information, basically, I thought it was kinda cool. One of the school liaison reported that, Brandon schools had 70 students with perfect attendance in the first semester. So, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, the BGYA is sponsoring some monthly mental health and family education things, and Shelby is writing an article every month, and it's being published in the Citizen. So I did see the first one. I can't remember if it's going in the same week. You know what? We have the editor. David, do you know? Is that article that Shelby's doing for BGYA mental health? Is that going in like, is it a certain issue, like the first one, the second one?
The last one of them.
The last one. So Shelby did a fabulous job last month, and so that's scheduled to be every month all 2025, I believe. And March 10th at the library in Brandon, there will be a in-person Love and Logic hour and a half seminar. And the sponsor breakfast is March 13th. So anybody on the board or who has sponsored BGYA in any particular way, Chief Williams, you will get an invite to that, okay? And that would be March 13th at the iTech Center in Ortonville, behind the middle school. You know where that is, right? So anybody can go if you're on the board, if you wanted to go, just let me know and I'll let Bob MacArthur know. And as always, their updates are on their website and on their Facebook page.
All right, thank you, Teresa. Jim, Planning Commission?
The planning commission did meet, and if memory and my notes are correct, there are three important points. We welcome Dan Crimmen as the new planning commissioner, replacing Kevin, sorry, Neil Laughlin, who was a wonderful contributor. We accepted some prints for a new build at Camp Tamarack, and Janelle and I are slightly confused on this, but Dave, perhaps you can help us. Dave Newbill is the planning commissioner. I believe the date of our planning commission meetings are now going to be the third Monday or third Wednesday.
I think it's Wednesday.
Okay.
I think.
We're gonna go with Wednesday. I have a memo that says to the contrary, but you two are saying Wednesday.
There was some discussion about it.
Yeah, so
Back and forth.
that should be the breadth of the planning commission meeting.
Thank you, Jim. ZBA, I don't even believe there was a meeting last month.
No.
No. And Keith Weirholt will be sitting on the zoning board too, so. All right, on to the supervisor report. Well, it's been an interesting 60 days, or close to it anyway, so we'll start with that. I did a all-day training in Frankenmuth on December 17th. I'd like to thank the board for letting me attend that, and it was very informational. I look forward to these MTA trainings. They very informative and kind of give you some guidance on some things. The fire hall obviously still being under construction. We're hoping to be done by the end of June. And there's gonna be some things that come up on that we're getting prices for that obviously will be brought to the board. With that being said, there's gonna be some MSP things too. Nothing major on that side, but there are some things. And I did wanna mention to the board, I know before I even took over that we had purchased, I believe, was it 20,000 for evidence box for them? Something like that. That and there's gonna be a few other costs. I want the board to think about, I think at some point, and I'll be glad to do it, is to go to Holly and Rose, the two other townships that are benefiting from the state police, and see if we can get some money back from them for some of these extra costs. I think our citizens have went well above and beyond. I think they could come to the plate with a little bit of money. So, food for thought there. As well, we're talking about that area, the tech park, of course, we hired Dunascus Group, is how you wanna say consultants, I guess. But they did so far secure us $216,000 from Detroit, what is it, Jim? Detroit Regional
Partnership.
Partnership. I never remember partnership. So anyway, the first 16,000 is for things like surveying and other tests. Then the next 100,000 actually will go for infrastructure. Then the third 100,000 is actually to help get a tenant in there. And we can use that any way to do that, whether it be their surveying or their infrastructure. But they have secured us $216,000. So that's quite a bonus for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. One thing I wanted to make mention of, Darren Villarreal, that man right there, resident on Bald Eagle Lake Road, is a great example of how the squeaky wheel gets the grease. After a lot of time, I'm sure, and energy spent with Detroit Edison, on Bald Eagle Lake Road, we ended up getting 6 days of tree trimming.
2 solid weeks, the last 2 weeks of December. They had 8 big trucks with booms on them, and many of the trucks had the chippers in the back. And there was at least 18 people working for 2 weeks, trimming trees between Grange Hall and Wildwood, all the way down Wildwood, up into the top of Pines for 5 days, and then down our road to the little church at Jossman and Bald Eagle Lake.
And what'd you tell me, 22 fuses you replaced?
So there was 2 parts to it, tree trimming number 1, and the second part is between the Wolf substation down Wildwood Road to Bald Eagle and Jossman. They replaced 25 fuses, and as of today, they have 24 of the 25 fuses replaced. So we had an engineer with DTE come up to our house in September with his iPad and showed where our power comes from. And he said, I suspect, without doing an engineering study, which they then did, that these fuses are obsolete. So if a tree limb up at top of Pines touches the wire, it can cause a cascade failure of many fuses. And this year was a terrible year for us, and when I speak of us, it's just not me.
No.
It's 60 people are on that one trunk line from the Wolf Road substation. So we had 19 power failures, and I talked to your uncle, Marvin, just 2 weeks ago, and I said, hey Marvin, how many did you lose? He says, I think we had 2. So we had 19 compared to 7 last year. 9 were like less than 5 minutes, but 10 of them were between 4 hours and 47 hours of lost power. So I made over 70 calls to DTE, believe it or not, in 2024. I found, and I can share this at the next meeting, I'd be happy to put a slide deck together.
Yeah, I'd like you to do that.
What gets DTE on their ear is when you send a complaint to the Michigan Public Service Commission. That will get them real excited. You will get a phone call within usually 12 to 24 hours, like what can we do, what's the problem, blah, blah, blah. But I had to reach out to them 6 times. And the 6th time, I got a manager in the executive suite downtown Detroit, called me in late November and said, what is the problem? And I said, here we go again, I'll explain it to you. So, without getting into all the minutia, I'll share that at the next meeting. 8 days later, we had 4 trucks in the front of our house. We live next to Marilyn McGee, so they were on her driveway, trimming trees, chainsaws, 8 o'clock in the morning. But it was way bigger than that. And I thought it'd be just for a day or 2. They were there for 2 solid weeks. And they trimmed trees across private land up to top of Pines, which is a shortcut. I think there's like 10 or 12 houses up there. And those trees have never been trimmed. And there was a lot of dead pine trees up there, and the trimmer manager, who I spoke with 3 times, very nice gentleman, very, very knowledgeable and very prudent to getting the job done right, said that if one of those wires just touches, or one of those tree limbs just touches a wire, these wires sometimes are 80 years old and they've lost the insulation on them, it shorts out the whole circuit. So you can imagine 60 homes losing their power at 1:30 in the morning, like we lost in September when it was dead calm outside, just because a tree limb snapped off and touched the wire. So I believe 2025, we're gonna be a lot better in terms of power delivery, but as Kevin and I were talking, we're just one teeny sliver of Groveland Township. And when you look at the power outage map, it's all over Groveland Township. So I wanna share my lessons learned so that other people can not waste time trying to get better power delivered to their house. Because I gotta believe we have more of these problems throughout the township.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So can I send you a PowerPoint?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it goes to you, Janelle, right?
That's
And then you'll project it and I'll walk through my slide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd love to put you on next month. I think
Yeah.
you give a lot of
Also,
information.
after we chatted this afternoon, I got a phone call from the manager at the executive office. That's how this issue's escalated. We had a long conversation as usual, and at the ending of it, I said, in fairness, you know, maybe you guys want to invite one of your managers to come and see what I have to share. I said, it's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be factual. And, you know, I'm not afraid of sharing the good news, and I'm not afraid of sharing the bad news. But it's what can we do together to make it better for everybody? That's the key, is how do we work together to make it better?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. North Oakland Regional Chamber Association, Janelle, you gave me this. So we had put in a full page ad before, you said, in
Yes,
their-
we have the last few years.
A full page?
Mm-hmm. Yep, got all the
Oh,
recreational stuff on
okay,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it
I
shows
remember
the
that.
water thing, and
Yeah.
how we
Laura.
rec and,
Did Laura write that? Did Laura?
no, I think I did it a
You
couple
did that
years
one?
ago.
Okay, I remember this now.
Hey, anyway, I think it's for a good cause. Obviously, it's benefiting our area.
Well, what is it for?
That's what I'm trying to read here.
No, I mean, the organization.
Oh, North Oakland Regional Chamber Association,
So this is now,
Holly and Ortonville.
yeah, and they renamed it from the Holly Chamber, Ortonville Chamber to the Northland
Yep, they both joined
Regional
forces.
Chamber. So if we actually do put in some ad there, it'll affect both areas.
That's what I say, it's for both
It's like the one
communities.
thing that covers both.
Yes, I remember Richard Kinnaman said he was going into Ortonville, so,
Yeah.
What's that dollar
Yeah.
amount?
So $674.
I'm glad you read that, I was already say 800. So anyway, I would like to do it again. I would make a motion that we take out the ad in the North Oakland Regional Chamber Association. Full page is $674.
Support.
Laura, do you want a roll call?
Teresa Bells,
yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes.
Just something I wanted to make the board aware of. We did have a discussion, I shouldn't say discussion, email was sent to Will today. I'm going to request a letter from Vesper to give us their reasons why they cannot move from their proposed site to our tech park. I don't know where it'll get us. I wanna know if it's a matter of they won't, or technically they can't. But I think we've danced around long enough, in my opinion. I want the answer. So I just want everybody to be aware, that was just initiated today, so I'm sure this week it will be going out.
especially the new supervisor, so it's, you know,
Yeah,
well within your,
I wanna know.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're allowed to ask
it's
those
in your
questions.
purview to ask that question and get that.
I wanna know. And I think that's it for me.
Okay. I wasn't even intending to bring this up, but just since you mentioned it, I did get a phone call today, with a question, and I do see some familiar faces here, so, with the question about whether the recommended or proposed best site had been rezoned. And the second question was, if we had sold 30 acres of the tech park to someone. It sounded like we're around those same topic. But if you are hearing those rumors in the community, unless the board has something to tell me, we did not rezone that property. It is the same zoning that it was. We still do not have any application for any vests there at that site just yet. Doesn't mean that they won't apply. And no, we have not done anything with any 30 acres of land at the tech park unless there's something that you know that I don't.
I know nothing.
Okay, so, just to share that, I wasn't even planning on sharing it, but it was a question and it sounds like it may have been circulating in the community. So if it's something that you've heard, it might be helpful to squash those rumors. As far as clerk's office, I don't have a whole lot, election, so, we do an election audit that they require us to do after the presidential elections, and, my deputy and I will be working on that this week. It's kind of a weird thing. They basically roll a dice and give you a number, and then you go through all of the voted ballots. And like, let's say that's a number 6, the 6th ballot down, you pull out and you mark who voted for each of those. It's a really weird audit system. It's very time consuming, but we will be working on that. Yay!
Can I ask you why? Why do you have to do that?
I think it's just a confirmation of like systems are working properly.
Okay.
I remember doing it in 2020 and thinking this is the most archaic, like weirdest, strangest thing, but it worked. You know, what was supposed to be voted for it came out. It was very weird. Yeah. Don't quote me on this. I think that the CDBG funds may be a go for the fire department. I haven't heard back. I haven't heard any no, so it's not a huge amount, but remember, those are the funds that we usually end up spending a whole lot of time and we don't see any benefit in our community, so fingers crossed still that they won't come back and say no yet, but they haven't so far, and I just got the paperwork for like signing, so
Excellent.
I know, I'm thinking that's great. We have a great crowd tonight, so it's a perfect opportunity to ask if anyone would be interested in being the HIA liaison. Holly Area Youth Assistance is always looking for someone to represent us and come share with our board what's going on in HIA, so know that that's an option if anyone's interested.
And when do they usually meet?
The next meeting is the 21st, so just, when is that? Next Tuesday. And they did happen to call me today and see who that liaison was gonna be this year. Oh, but you're feeling
Just
it.
because I
You're
already know.
feeling it. You're feeling it, aren't you? So,
I'll let you know, how about that?
all right. So
Is
yeah,
that a yes?
I said, I'll let you know, how
Oh,
about
I
that?
thought you said yes. I'm sorry.
I just heard the, well, how about that? Just working on, year-end stuff, tax paperwork will be going out to all of our employees, soon in the next couple months here, so finishing up some of that. And then, as far as the employee manual and that, sick time, apparently, legislation is supposed to hit the floor, amended legislation in both the House and the Senate this week on that.
Tomorrow morning.
Yes. So,
On the earned sick time?
yes, that's supposed to go into effect in February, and now they're attempting to make amendments this week, so.
Yeah, well, David Martin was in today. Well,
Was
Jim
he
said
telling us
in,
about
yeah,
it?
he said there's going to be some movement on
Yeah,
that.
so,
What that's gonna be, who knows?
right, whether
But-
that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess that just makes me hang out in limbo until something's been
Yeah.
decided, but,
There's that.
anyway, so that's really all of my updates on that right
Maybe
now.
we'll know by the time we do our budget workshop.
I hope so, I hope so,
Let's hope.
that's the goal, So that is all I have for you.
All right, thank you, Janelle. Teresa?
Okay. Tax collecting is going just fine. Couple other things. Number one, every February, everybody in the township gets, well, every parcel owner gets a notification of assessment, and it comes from Oakland County Equalization. So it just comes in a regular old envelope from Oakland County Equalization, and you open it up and it says, this is not a tax bill, and it tells you what your 2024 taxes are, or were, and then what your 2025 taxes are going to be, and what that change in value is. I always tell people to watch for that. It should come to you by mid-February. If you want to dispute anything that Oakland County Assessing has decided your property is worth, your opportunity to do so is at the March Board of Review, and at the bottom of that same page, there are a list of instructions from who to call and how to go ahead and get on that list so that you could appeal if you want to. And the March Board of Appeal meets right here on 2 to 3 specific days in March. And that reminds me that, so we've appointed our 3 members for the Board of Review, and they will all 3 be attending in person on February 11th in Frankenmuth for their, what do you call it when you have to do it every 2 years?
Training.
Biannual? No,
Yeah, oh yeah, biannual.
something like that.
I think it's biannual.
No, biannual will be twice a year.
Yeah.
Every other yearly training, so every 2 years by state law, you have to be trained. And so, we have Neil Laughlin, Amy Milsher, and Judy Flynn. And so all of them are going to be, needing to be retrained. So they're gonna go together to Frankenmuth on February 11th to fulfill that requirement. So I didn't know we could make motions during this time. Should I be making a motion to, cover their expenses for board of review, or is that's just something that I figured we may have already talked about, or
Well,
usually?
Yeah, I mean, we don't usually, but we can. It would just be an additional item on the synopsis.
Yeah, I didn't realize that we might need to, I mean, we've paid in the past for board review training, it's a
I was
requirement.
gonna
They
say,
have
it's
to. They have to
it's
do
a
it.
requirement, I
Yeah.
don't think you have to make.
Okay, so I'll be registering them, if I get them in within 3 weeks, then we get the early bird rate, so it's only $100 a person for this required thing, and it's through MTA. And then, I think that's pretty much it, except for one last thing, which is, back in the end of December, I went ahead and submitted a grant application, for a cybersecurity assessment. The state of Michigan seems to have a lot of money to spend on certain things, and I got this email that said, we still have X number of millions of dollars to spend on cybersecurity. So if you have to have an assessment, and then there's risk mitigation monies and so on. Well, we haven't had an assessment, and so with all the money that they had available, it's a matching reimbursement grant. So we would have to put the money up front, but they reimburse it at 100%. So I went ahead and applied, put it in. Their deadline was December 30th. I really only found out about it about 10 days ahead of time. And then that coincided with Christmas break. And so, really it was sort of short time. And I had to contact the person at the state and wait for them to contact me back. So I did briefly just go through this. My memory is vague. Did I talk about it with you? Thank you. I think I talked about it with Janelle, probably not with Jim.
No, I think it's
Because
great
it was
then.
really a short timing thing. Timeline wise, if they fund us, they'll let us know by the end of February. And I've got more information on it if you wanna see like exactly what the grant is and stuff, but ultimately, if we do get it, it's strictly level 1, like the first step is to have somebody come in and do a risk analysis on any township or fire department owned computer, laptop, tablet, that it's so that they're looking for, is there any way that this can be you know, what are your security leaks, or possible things. VC3 does not routinely do this, like they're gonna keep us patched and stuff like that, but this was something above and beyond. So maybe they'll come back with nothing, I kinda doubt it, because, you know,
Sure.
there's always more you can do for cybersecurity. But it'll be interesting to see what they come up with if we get funded for that. So
That'd be great.
just letting you know. Okay,
All right, thank you,
that's it.
Tracy. All right, it's time for public comment. I open the floor if anybody has anything they'd like to say.
Kevin, do you think we can go back to discuss the chloriding on our roads again this year, to have another
Sure.
look-see at that?
Yeah, I mean, we have to approve it, so it'll certainly be at a meeting.
So, you know, from my perspective and some of my neighbors' perspective, you know, we need chloride to keep the dust down, but we don't need, you know, an excessive amount of chloride.
Right.
And, you know, I think the township's spending like $75,000 of our taxpayer money, giving it to Oakland County. And that truck that goes down Wildwood Road, for example, or Oak Hill Road, those are wide roads, those are primary roads.
Yep.
So when they go down there and they're dumping 2,000 gallons of what people call chloride, it's just a salt brine that they pull out of the 1,100-foot well over there at Radley and Dixie Highway. They're dumping 2,000 gallons, but if you dump it on a primary road, you have no overlap. If you dump it on a secondary road like Bald Eagle Lake Road or McGinnis Road,
You're getting 1.5.
you get about 1.5, and sometimes it takes like 4 days for that stuff to evaporate or seep into the ground, depending on weather conditions
Sure.
and humidity. So I'm just looking for, and it's just not me, we surveyed all of our neighbors on our half-mile stretch.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
I understand.
okay.
I understand.
So maybe we could just make it better, that's all.
And we can have a discussion about that when the time comes. I'm certainly gonna have a discussion with the road commission guy. Actually, he was in last week and me and him talked about it for a minute.
Okay.
So he's supposed to bring, their foreman for the chloride in here. But like I say, it's gonna have to be approved by the board, so we're gonna have some discussions.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a
Go ahead,
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you need my name and all that, or?
I think I know
It seems a
who
little
you
more
are.
formal tonight, yeah, alright, so, I'm encouraged to hear that you're going to, generate a letter to Vesper for your answers to why that proposed site. What I was wondering is maybe you could do something in a video or, informationally wise, across the board, not just in the Citizen, but maybe even in the Tri-County if possible, just with any factual information that exists
Sure.
and where things lie. I know that, Vesper has created Woodson Construction LLC as an entity all of its own,
Yes.
so that anything that exists will only be for that one company. I know that because we've got a card at our house. My husband's gotten a text for an offer for a property, so it just seems like there's still a little bit of a push for this. So I'm encouraged to hear that part of it. And then I wondered if you might take just some suggestions for a letter to them. It doesn't mean you have to do it. Then and I can email you. Then the other question I have is, are there any updates from Will on the lawsuit for the townships against the state of Michigan?
There's not, and actually, our state rep, David Martin, was in the office today, and, there's really no movement on it.
It was Christmas.
Yeah, but I gotta be honest, I would think here this month, we would hear something one way or the other. But when I asked Will, now that would have been before Christmas, nobody's heard anything about it.
Okay.
As far as putting out something informational, I have absolutely no problem doing that. In transparency, I've heard from them one time since I've been in office. And that was basically, hi, how are you? My question was, are we still going forward? And their response was yes. That's the extent of the conversation.
Yeah, and I know that, within the community, there are people who think it is a done deal, there are people who think that we're gonna get, electricity if our power goes out from that site. There's all kinds
Oh,
of
I know.
non-correct information.
Sure.
So if you can make whatever known that is
That is something we will work on,
factual,
for
that
sure.
would be appreciated.
No problem.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All right, well, I guess at this time, I would look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the regular board meeting and reconvene for the fire board meeting.
Support.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed? John, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for hearing me tonight. We'll go over the first is apparatus and equipment. We had an issue with 481 where the radio wasn't connecting, so it was taken down to radio repair. And it was found that the antenna was broken off by a tree branch, and they replaced it, and that's now working. The chief's truck was taken back to the dealership to do multiple recalls and take out the idle timeout delete, so it doesn't shut off while we're sitting there on scene, runs, kill the battery while the lights are running.
You got them to take that out?
Yeah, it was a big to-do. We had it done on the ambulance as well, and we had to write a letter and
Jeez.
certify it and do all this. They're pretty sticklers on it.
Yeah, and that is the most annoying feature.
Yeah, you do know if you hold the button down for like 5 seconds, it'll turn off automatically.
Will it come back on again as soon as you start up the engine again?
Next time it will, so every time you do it, you have to hold the button down. I just found that out. But yeah.
Okay.
Alpha 483 had a bad battery and that was replaced. Ladder 1, the headlight switch was broken and Justin had repaired that. Engine 2 had an issue with not going into pump, and Justin tracked it down to a wiring plug on the location module, and it wasn't allowing it to connect and put the transmission into pump gear, so he tore the plug apart and got all new pins for it and replaced those. Our SCBA fill stations, both stations were certified, and the Station 1 unit needed several valves rebuilt on it, so they did that. And what I didn't have in there was Brush 2 also had exhaust manifold gaskets leaking on it, so that was taken in and replaced. And that's it for apparatus. Now personnel, I'm in instructor class all week this week, so it's not fun. Sean Dobbs has enrolled in the EMS IC class in Lansing Community College, and class begins January 13th. Luckily, it's mostly online versus most other places. They have to go for all the classes, so he'll be able to do it and work at the same time. And then after that, he'll have 32 hours of teaching he'll have to do, so that's a benefit to us as well, because usually they want to crank them out and everybody will get their 32 credits out of that for their license.
Perfect.
Kyle Bruder and Sean Dobbs, they'll be attending Fire Command Supervisory Training class on the 15th and 16th this month at Oakland Community College, and it was fully funded by a grant from Oakway, and the flyers on back, and hopefully they'll be able to bring us back some good stuff from that. And, we have Trevor Dean here. He started his career as a cadet on Groveland many years ago, and from there he went and he was full-time at Sterling Heights, so he has a multitude of experience, and I would like to hire him back as a fill-in firefighter, fill shifts.
Just speak for a second. I just wanted to, I appreciate the board and all your consideration. I look forward to working in the township and being back, and again, thank you to Chief Williams as well. Look forward to serving everybody. So,
Thanks for coming tonight, Trevor.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we hire Trevor Dean for the position of fill-in firefighter medic pursuant to his pre-employment requirements.
I would support that.
All those in favor? Roll call?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yep.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells.
Yes.
Okay, next, I'd like to promote Kyle Bruder to the position of full-time firefighter pursuant to his pre-employment requirement. Kyle came on to us about a year ago, a little longer. He's very well liked and he has an extensive history in EMS, and he was an instructor for several years. And he's taught a bunch of the paramedics here. So hopefully he can bring that knowledge and the ability to us and move into the position of taking over for Stacy in the EMS section. She moves on to the fire marshal. And this is-
All I've ever done my entire adult life is work as a paramedic, so having the opportunity to be a fireman and kind of see the other side of things while also still being able to do the things that I've already done for my entire career. It's a pretty exciting opportunity, so thanks for having me. Sorry I was late, currently working a shift, so
No.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, hey, thanks for coming tonight.
He makes a great pico de gallo.
Hey, no, I see where it's not.
Well, you can bring some over.
Right, I'm gonna run that line, just saying.
We'll make a motion
I would be happy to motion that we promote Kyle to the full-time position. I assume at the entry-level pay that we have in the projected.
yes, it's on his job description and pay
I was just
requirements.
looking for that, and I don't remember what we did with it. What is that number? Do you have it in front of you, John?
It's 58.
Wasn't there like 6 zeros?
I think there may have been.
That's pretty
Might
good
have
for
been-
pay.
might have been a minus sign.
We're probably on.
He's
Yeah, I'm going for that. Hold on.
Did you see the job description?
I do remember, but-
No, I didn't see that.
Did I not? Yeah, there it is. Oh, wait. No, I think it was in that other pack that I gave you with the
Oh.
applications.
Hold on, we got it right here.
Oh,
That,
so it's in Janelle's secret package?
it's in the
Yeah, I'm
secret packet
sorry.
that I didn't allow anyone else
Put it down on
to
the
see.
pack.
Alright, just so that we make sure we have that. $58,718. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be my motion, that we hire him to be our, to promote him to full-time firefighter and paramedic, at the starting rate here of $58,718 as his salary. In addition, we would also, of course, have his healthcare package as a part of that.
So, can I ask a question? Just for clarification, this position's already in your budget, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and it's been vacant for a while,
ever since I was promoted, yes.
okay, so.
From a picture standpoint, John moved into Kevin's role, so technically Chief Williams's position is vacant, but he's actually filling it at a
Lesser.
different
Okay.
pay, yeah.
Alright. Okay,
But it is, was
It
part
is
of
in
the
the-
original, the initial budget.
okay, so, fine, okay.
I'm not sure if that helps or not.
It does, I know I've been sick for the last few days and I'm thinking straight, but I just wanted to clarify because I could see me waking up going, what did I just agree to? Okay, so thank you for that. I thought it was probably already in your budget.
Yeah, I should explain that, I'm sorry.
Just,
It is, yeah,
Verify.
filling the vacant position.
okay.
I support Janelle's motion. Laura, you wanna take a roll call on that, please?
Teresa Bells,
Yes,
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes,
Welcome aboard, Kyle.
Thank you
Go
all.
ahead, Carl.
Next item, I would request to give Justin Morose a $1 an hour raise. Justin's taken over the vehicle maintenance program and he's doing an excellent job. He's implemented a maintenance log program and performing maintenance on the jobs we can do in-house. And he's also agreed to start running the engineer program. So he'll be doing a lot more training and certification of the firefighters for that.
What does that bring his pay to?
18.
18.
How much?
18?
Hey, I think any of that stuff you can do in-house is money well spent, you know how I feel about that. And I'm sure Justin does an outstanding job. I will make a motion that, we give Justin his $1 an hour raise, which would put him at 18, I believe.
$18 an hour?
That would be my motion.
Thank you.
Anybody want to see the second?
We do need a second, and I have heard great things about the work that you do on the trucks there, so we do appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Every month your name is on there. There's several things that you've done, so thank you.
I would support that.
There's no doubt, he's doing a great job.
Very happy to
You
have
want a
you.
roll call?
Yep. Janelle Keller,
Yep.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scrambler.
Yes.
Next item, we had Sean Dobbs posted a recruitment announcement on Facebook and we've been getting several inquiries on it. Unfortunately, most of them have been outside of the area, like Brandon and Nakva. So they have to go through their chief first to see if they'll get cleared to be able to come to Roland, which I'm sure we all need the people, so it works as a system. We have gotten a couple that have shown interest within the township, so we'll see if they end up returning their application in, but you know, one more person always helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
We had Scotty Alexander that had enrolled in North Oakland's EMT class, but unfortunately it was postponed due to low enrollment. I think they only had 4 people enroll in it, so hopefully they'll re-announce it for later this fall. And then on a good note, the Social Security Fairness Act was signed into law. This law rescinds the government pension offset and Windfall Protection Act, which will affect firefighter, police officers, any governmental employee that received a pension from the government. So our MERS plan would account into that. So with the rescindment of the GPO, we'd get an increase of about $700 at the end of 25 increase on our Social Security. And with the rescindment of the Windfall Protection Act, we'd get an additional $360 that we would get on that. So it would affect you as well for that. So sometimes we get good news.
Yeah.
And then Sergeant Millar has attended a 5-day EMS leadership class last month, and he's told me some really good things about it, and we hope to implement some of those coming up. And then Sergeant Sandy Garris has returned to work after a hip fracture, and now she's working her 2 hours every morning.
How's she doing?
She's doing great.
Good.
Yeah, she's getting around you would never know.
Good.
She does play a pretty vital role in keeping our records up to date. As far as community risk reduction, we're in the process of making the advertisement board for our residential lockbox and file a life program. So hopefully we'll have that done here within the next 2 weeks, and then we can set them on your counter and put them in a couple other businesses around the township. And all the fire suppression wells have been tested and winterized. They're all in good working order. And then on the EMS front, we've received our new IO drills and all the needles and equipment for it. And We just had our first training on it and we're doing 2 more this week and hopefully then putting those into service on the trucks. Sergeant Millar's also negotiating a deal with an entity up north to sell all of our old stock. So hopefully we'll be recouping some of the cost back from the new ones. The demographic, so it's been a long time issue with why we have so many runs. It was mainly from the previous supervisor, who was always in question of it, and it was very hard to get the information, but I was finally able to have ESO build us a search query for it, and that's back here. It's kind of surprising, well, not really for us, but for the outside person to see that a very large portion of our medical runs go to non-residents. So we have 509 transports within the township for residents and 293 transports out of the township that were non-residents, that would be coming from Mount Holly, the Renaissance Festival, 75 out of the parks. So that's quite a burden to put on our community to provide that service for non-residents.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've mentioned to you, John, and Jim, and probably all of you, but as far as the parks go, I am gonna look into that. We need to figure out whether we can get a service contract for them or some type of fee. We need to get some money somewhere for that stuff,
Yes.
because it is a burden to our citizens.
Mhm. And keep in mind, those are just transports. Those
Sure.
are sign-offs where we
Right,
just
those
go
are-
and check their vitals and sign them off when they say they don't wanna go. So that's a pretty large portion as
Absolutely.
well.
It's definitely something we gotta work on,
Mhm.
absolutely. But thank you for putting the numbers together.
Yeah, interesting.
We also had a patient outcome tab added to our ESO software. That's the program that we do all the documentation for our medical reports on. And what that does is we can open that tab up and it'll tell us the outcomes of any patient that we transported to the hospital. So it's a pretty good feature and it'll allow us to better recognize the symptoms of patients that we encounter.
Because
In order
before
to
you
treat
get
it
that
properly.
information.
Yeah, right now, I mean, somebody will go, oh, I don't feel very well, and
Sure.
okay. And we don't know what they actually found at the hospital.
Oh,
We can have our
excellent.
ideas
Yeah,
in very limited treatment, but if we have a better understanding of the little nuances, then we'd be able to recognize it and treat them more effectively.
makes sense. Perfect.
House Bill 5695, the Ground Emergency Medical Transport Reimbursement Act was passed. And what this act does is it supplements what we get from Medicaid, Medicare. So we don't know the exact numbers on it. I do have several emails into Star EMS and working with her just to kind of give us an idea of what that could possibly be. But as of right now, we don't have any numbers on it. And our report cards are attached, as usual. They're all really good.
Mm-hmm.
Operations. We've had Nick Burgess, one of our firefighters. He's in the process of building PowerPoint presentations for each apparatus to be used in our engineer program to get people certified in order to drive the trucks and use them to pump. The way we have it set up right now is we have 3 stages of engineers. So we have an engineer 1, an engineer 2, and an engineer 3. So an engineer 1 is able to drive the tankers and use them to pump, since it's the least technical one of our apparatus. And from there we go to our frontline engines, which would be used to attack fires, and then our engineer 3 is for the ladder, since it's the most technical piece of equipment we have. He did an excellent job on it. I think it will really be a benefit. He is currently going over to the other station and starting on tanker 1. So that'll aid Justin in his classes. Station 2 generator is still out of service. We're waiting for repair. We haven't had much luck getting rescheduled with PM Technologies on it. But they did an excellent job when they were here. Hopefully soon they're slowed down a little bit and be able to get us in. Again, as you mentioned, there's no real new big update on the fire station. Just because of the holidays, everything's kind of been on standstill. It does look like he's gotten all the stone done around the outside and the bottom though, and it looks
And
really
we've got
nice.
all the paperwork and stuff turned in, so I'm hoping the power will be ran in there soon.
Mhm.
So, did you send all that out to him? So,
Excellent.
yeah, that will help progress.
Mhm.
So,
And then Stacy wrote us a grant for the DNR and she received it. It's a matching grant for $4,900, so their portion of it would be $2,450, and we would have to match $2,450. And it's a reimbursement, so we would have to spend the $4,900. And at this time, I would like to request using $5,000 to purchase a set of turnout gear at a equipment purchase.
Yes, that sounds great.
you wanna make a motion?
I assume we're attaching it to this grant here.
Yes.
So, I would motion, I'm gonna put a couple of extra in there, so let me know if you're not okay with this. I would motion that we approve $5,000 toward a set of turnout gear, with the understanding that we would be reimbursed $2,450 as part of the DNR grant.
I will second that.
Laura, do you wanna take a roll call, please?
Yep, Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells.
Yes.
We should probably also motion for a signer on that grant. For you to sign it,
For,
for the DNR grant.
Oh.
Cause
Oh,
we do need
because-
to accept it as a match.
does the same, so when you applied for that, that was like last summer?
It was last May. It
Last
was
May.
December, May.
So Bob was probably the signer on that, wasn't he? Yeah. So if we switch out signers, cause the new supervisor, do you think there's something we need to do with the state, probably we could just
We can
email the
we can
gal.
just call or email, cause I think it doesn't have Bob's name on it, I think it just says supervisor and fire chief.
Okay,
But we can call the DNR and ask them.
Local government, so, probably just to receive this matching grant of $2,450 with a signer in this.
So you want a motion on that?
That's the motion that I would like to make, if you would like to give me that moment. To motion that we, accept the matching grant of $2,450 through the Michigan DNR, and that we, allocate or nominate Kevin Scramlin as our official or designated signer.
well, isn't, Chief Williams different than, did Kevin Mason have to sign that one too? Back in May?
Probably.
Probably,
You may want to include both of us.
yeah.
And also Chief Williams. I would amend my motion to include Chief Williams.
Have a second?
I'll second that again. Roll call?
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Thank you, Stacy, for being so diligent and
Yes.
applying for
Yeah,
grants.
she's done an excellent job on acquiring grants for us so far,
A little bit at a
in
time.
pieces,
Everett.
pieces of
You,
equipment.
you go, Stacy. Keep
Every little
going.
bit helps.
Thank you.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
You guys should have seen the cheer when we got it.
The what?
The cheer she did.
Yeah, after she put in that amount of work, I'm sure she will.
Alarms, last month we had 87 alarms, made us a total of 111, 17 calls for the year, which is pretty consistent to what we normally run. Township annual attractions, the Holly Dazzle light attraction on the grounds of the Renaissance Festival is concluded and it went out without incident. They did well. Christmas Nightmare at Rotten Manor is also concluded and that went out without incident. Very well received. And as of last month, we've already had 4 Mount Holly transports, and I think we beat that over the weekend. Several. Yeah.
I'm sure you did.
For community outreach, the Groveland Township Firefighters Association sponsored a local group home and donated $500. So let's see, they enjoyed their Christmas a little better. And we've also been looking at a medication drop box, the disposal boxes for used prescription drugs. I had attached a flyer in there. The one I got, there would be a total, if the township or fire department were to purchase it, it would be a total of about $2,200. And then there's a replacement insert that goes in it. It's a liner, they call it. So that's $100, and they just call and they come pick it up and dispose of it, and that's all I know. I have reached out to Eagle and just received an email back Friday afternoon with a couple other possible resources that I haven't gotten a chance to check into yet, so I'm looking into those. And also, one of our firefighters, Teddy Reingris, is also researching the naloxone give out boxes. That's the antidote for heroin, opiate drugs. They have an organization that puts them in down at the county and all the police stations, and that's who he's researching it through.
John, I appreciate you doing the legwork on the medication disposal box. It was something I'd asked John about. When the time comes, I think it would be good for our community to put one of these at our new fire hall. I've had a couple people ask. I know John has told me that they will take it in now at the fire hall if someone calls and asks, but I think it'd be a good community thing to have. So I appreciate you doing the legwork.
Thank you.
Along those lines, is there a place in the township you can get rid of household batteries?
Right here.
Oh, you can bring them here?
Mhm.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Cool.
You can bring them here.
So we, we participate in no-hats in the summers, and, a lot of times people just have, little baggies of batteries or something, so they'll just bring them here, and we just send those down with one of our crews for no-hats.
Where do you have like a drop box over here?
We just usually have a box out front, in this.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Right here in the lobby.
Yeah, I got 2 peanut butter jars up there.
That's what people bring.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
No, you bring them here.
John, I'm pardon my naivety. I don't understand medication disposal box. Can't just toss them down the drain, hit the garbage disposal?
No, you're not supposed to put them in your
I have
septic
no idea.
or even down the sewer system, because it's a forever chemical. It just
Okay,
accumulates in the ground,
no idea.
and they don't do any removal of it in the treatment plant, so it just gets sent back out to the
Thank you for the
into
explanation.
potable water.
By the way, these reports are good. Thank you very much, everybody who participates in these.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Just trying to get a little better flow of information to you, so you
Right.
know what goes on over there. A lot goes on behind the scenes that nobody ever thinks about, so.
Well,
This is just kind of the tip of the iceberg that you'll see.
We appreciate it.
Yeah,
And then there is a fun opportunity. The Michigan State Police is looking for volunteers to participate in training exercises with trooper recruits. So they'd like set you up in a car and have you do fake pullovers or be a hostage in situations, you know, like a bank robbery and everything. I've known a couple people that have done it and they've really enjoyed it. So all you have to do is fill out the application. They put you through a background search and they have you come out there to their training grounds in Lansing and you participate in those events. It's really cool. It gives you a whole different perspective on how things work and why they do what they do.
That'd be good for you, Janelle.
I'm thinking about it.
That'd be good for you.
Yeah, that is cool.
And that concludes my report.
Can I ask a question for Chief Williams and for the board? There's three things, comments, questions, however you want to take it. You talked about the cost of transporting non-citizens versus citizens, like half again as many. You know, if I get in an accident in Argentine, hopefully the transport, you won't get a bill in the mail later. It's like, hey, we had to move you to the hospital, you know, here's your $200 bill, food for thought.
Mm-hmm.
The question about, or the thought about getting follow-up on if you have an ailment from the hospital or whatever, you mentioned something about that. Would that violate any HIPAA laws? Don't know.
No, that doesn't violate any HIPAA laws since you already rendered care to that patient. You're entitled to
Again,
continued information. But, and that's not open to everybody. So if you hit that tab, it would only be the crew that treated that patient. If anybody else, I couldn't even go on and look at it.
Yeah, I can only go on and look at patients that I've taken to the hospital. I can't see Stacy's patients and she can't see my patients unless we were both there together.
Is there a requirement for firefighters to have mustaches?
Yeah.
Since the chief doesn't.
Well, he's letting us,
that guy out.
he's letting us take the lead.
Yeah.
The third thing, I can't remember what it was. Is that something you're just talking about though?
The medication drug lot?
Oh, yeah,
or-
yeah, because I took mine to the, Holly Police Department and they took it, no problem.
Yeah, the Holly PD has one, the Ortonville substation has one, and then the substation in Springfield has one. That's the closest one. So it'd just be kinda nice to have something to give back to the community. Since we do have,
You take it back to Myers too.
yeah, most all pharmacies will take them to CVS and Walgreens.
All right, is there anything else? Nothing else?
Where's the location for the new fire department?
Oh, right here on Grange Hall Road?
On Grange Hall?
Yep.
Behind that Mavis building,
Behind the Mavis building?
that task
Oh,
force.
on the other side of Dixie?
Yeah,
Yes.
right before the curb.
Behind the
Oh,
old farm.
Yep.
They're building it now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been in construction for a while.
A year?
A year, I would
Yeah,
say.
they had some problems with acquiring materials post-COVID, so that was a big setback on it.
So will the state police be there as well? or-
Yes,
Yes.
yep.
What are they
It's a
gonna do with
shared
this
facility.
building, tear it down or sell it?
That building has been
It's-
It's
sold.
been sold.
Oh,
Yeah, it's been sold.
wow. Cool.
Do we have any update on when they're putting the roundabouts in 75?
Oh, yeah.
The roundabouts,
On 75 in Grange Hall, and correcting that?
26.
I was gonna say, I think there was a little bit of an
So,
extended
a year.
time frame on
Yeah.
that.
It's at, I thought he said 27, but
Yeah, sometimes we
Chris,
got.
Chris was in, he was down. Yeah, it's, they're first gonna finish 75, so they're doing the other side.
Okay, the other side, and then
75.
moving the surface road.
They did say as soon as the weather breaks, they're gonna start, so I'm not sure what that means exactly. But that means the southbound lanes are gonna be, everybody's gonna be on those ones now while they do it. And then after that, they said they were gonna take, was it the next year that, did you hear it, man?
I was.
I didn't hear
I
that
think
whole
he said
conversation.
the following year, they were gonna be doing, like, all the cleanup, like, not cleanup, but all the things that they didn't get to yet. So all the bridge repair, all the shoulders, all the, everything, the detail stuff. And then they're gonna do that roundabout on Grange Hall.
Both sides?
Yeah, they're gonna do both
Um,
sides.
Yeah,
Both sides.
yeah,
Yep,
so that might be 2027,
yeah, both sides of the bridge.
right?
And that's an approved project, so
Yes,
it's gonna go.
so, well, we're looking at construction, you know, for at least another couple of more years.
30 years.
Well, they love
Start
us.
all over again?
Yeah, well, right. Anything else? I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see the new faces.
Are you